So today we are sitting down in Ohio. You're technically from Akron, Ohio. We're not in Akron, Ohio. We're just sitting on a bed. This is super professional. I'm here with Bunny and Molly Oldham, who were introduced to me through Kim Wade now, and came up here to do her wedding, and she was like, oh my God, you guys have to interview Molly. So, and she's been talking about you for, gosh, I think she's been on the board for like a year. So it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot of your story. I know you're absolutely gorgeous, and your mom is hilarious and awesome, and very like keeps calling me a badass. But so tell us your story. Tell us all about you.
So I'm from Akron, Ohio. When I was 2 weeks after I turned 18, I went to the ER because I was having unbelievable migraines. Like, I've always thought I had headaches, but the last, up until I went to the hospital, the last, 4 or 5 months, it was, migraines to the point where I couldn't function. I was screaming in pain, but I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't hold a conversation. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't remember anything. And so finally, I was throwing up every day, twice a day. Mm-hmm. And I went to the ER, and once I got into the ER, I couldn't function. They did an MRI and a CAT scan, and they found a huge mass on my brain. And then I went into some more testing, and they found out it was a little bit bigger than the size of a tennis ball. Yeah, and my parietal lobe, and then I was set to have surgery after 2 days of medication. She can talk more about that because I don't remember it because I was so medicated. But
when you hear her talk about it, you think, oh my gosh, how did I miss all the signs? And she started passing out in February. And when we went to the hospital, it was August. So, Mom of the Year. Right here. But she was forgetful, and I just figured it was senioritis. Her driving was bad, and we just thought, oh, she's just a bad driver. She wasn't turning in homework. She wasn't really having conversations that made any sense. And we were just like, oh, it's Molly.
And my mood changed drastically, which is one of the main signs of a brain tumor. And I didn't think much of it because obviously my mind never went to, oh my God, I have a tumor. So I have always been a very happy-go-lucky, super excited, super positive person. But the last 6 months before I had surgery, I was just so moody. I was angry all the time. Everything irritated me. I didn't want to hang out with anyone. It was
She slept a ton, but she used to have tons of energy. And the biggest thing, I think, of all was she forget stuff. And she's going to be a musical theater major, so she would remember tons of scripts, and any song she heard one time she would know, and she couldn't remember things. She was saying that, would you turn off the music? And I'm like, you're the one singing, would you, there were cars flashing by. We're like, you're sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What
are you talking about?
I would hear sounds that weren't there, and they would send me into a spiral where I literally would curl up in a ball and just freak out because I was like, what are these sounds? And no one else heard them, and I'm like, how do you not hear that high pitch almost siren? And I was like, how do you not see these cars flying by? Am I going crazy? But I was just I'm tired. I'm nervous for school because I was about to go into college. I was like, I'm nervous for school. I'm just really tired. I don't want to leave home.
She lost weight super fast.
I lost 25 pounds in 2 weeks because I was throwing up every day.
And we literally thought, oh my gosh, she is wanting beach bod before she goes to college. That's what we were thinking.
Which is totally a normal thing.
And I never had a seizure before surgery. So there was nothing that was oh my gosh, we have to take her to the hospital. I had a seizure after surgery, and I kept getting sicker after surgery too. But there was nothing that was oh my gosh. Like I said, there was nothing oh my gosh, she has a tumor. And I just passed in a full neurological exam on my 2 days before my 18th birthday, because it was just a checkup with my pediatrician.
And they're like, you need to go get an appointment with the migraine doctors.
But literally 2.5 weeks later, they found the tumor. So
were they thinking it was just stress or
migraines?
Yeah, you're a senior in high school. There's a lot of stress on it.
18, I couldn't get her into a pediatric headache specialist, and then they wouldn't take her for an adult headache specialist either. So that's why we went to the ER. Going to the ER, when they sat us down the first time, the doctor's like, listen, you're Googling too much. She's okay, it's migraine medicine. She literally sent us home
With a migraine cocktail.
and Benadryl.
Okay.
She slept for 40 hours straight. We couldn't wake her up. 40 hours right after being back from the hospital. So I took her back in and I like, we need to have a scan of some sort. Please give her a scan. Because she's still sick. She still has headaches. This medicine that you said would make the headaches go away did not touch it.
And I was so out of it, like, if it speaks for anything, like, I was so out of it. I don't remember a single, like, bit of that. Like,
She
I
punched
wasn't,
the nurse. She doesn't remember.
like, I was not functioning. Like, it was to the point where, like, I literally could not even, like, look at you in the face. Like, I could not function. It was so bad. But I don't remember it, so I didn't think anything of it. I just thought I was sick. Like, I didn't think I had a tumor. Like,
Right.
So it was my friend from high school who actually, he was the one that pushed for the scan. We found out later why we didn't get scanned, but that's another story, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, but it's up to you. But I just remember him taking me into a room, and he just started crying. Like, oh, this isn't going to be good. He's like, it's a tumor. So...
and at that point, they didn't know if it was cancerous or not, because you have to do pathology. They just knew it was a massive tumor.
But they said it was so big that the chances of it being cancerous were very slim because it was so big. They're like, it's got to be just like a gelatinous
Right.
kind of thing. And we weren't worried. We did not think it was going to be cancerous. Like, let's get the surgery, let's get it out, and move on. At that point, her first question to the doctor was, am I going to die? And the second was, am I going to be able to go to school? Because she was 10 days out from going to her dream school.
I got diagnosed with cancer the day I was supposed to be moving in.
In the school.
Yeah. So that was really hard. That was really hard. And like, I don't know. Like I said, I literally was so medicated and so out of it that I don't remember any of this stuff, but it's just like looking back on it and thinking about it, I don't even think that I thought anything of it. I was like, okay, I have surgery. Like, I have never had any run-ins with the hospital. Like, never broken a bone. I've been stung by a bee once. Like, nothing had ever happened to me. And then, like, hospital-wise. And then the second I go in the hospital,
It's
for
the big
real,
one.
they're like, brain surgery! And I'm like, awesome!
But it was never a sit down and cry. It was never, it was like, let's just get it done. Let's do this.
Were you planning on like getting it done the next day or off to school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to do, because I don't like help from other people. Like, I just want to do my own thing. I want to be independent, and I just couldn't be with this, and that was very hard for me. Like, I remember after surgery, I couldn't walk. They didn't know if I was going to be able to talk. I had horrible balance. And I remember they were like, okay, time for a shower. And I was like, time for a shower? You expect me to like stand up and take a shower right now? And I remember my two sisters, I have an older sister and a younger sister, and my mom had to bathe me butt naked. And I'm 18 years old and I'm sitting there and I'm like, come on.
And could you talk and express that at all, or were you just?
I
like-
was so drowsy and like, it was like, you could tell I was like frustrated with it, but like I couldn't do it myself. Like I had to have help.
So she couldn't really speak. She couldn't walk. But an hour out of surgery, she came out singing.
I was gonna say because that's what you go to school for. Is, okay, so
Yeah.
was that like terrifying when you were like, am I ever gonna be able to sing again? Like,
I don't remember being diagnosed with a tumor. I don't remember being told I have to have surgery.
wow.
I don't remember waking up from surgery. I don't remember any of it. So I don't think I ever, if I did
It's like
worry
this
about
crazy
it, I don't
experience
remember.
that happened to somebody else, but it happened to you. Like,
Yeah.
and you only live it through somebody else telling you.
We videotaped
so
everything because we knew that she wouldn't.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to tell her about it.
Right.
We wanted her to actually see it happening. So
And
we
I'm
videotaped
like that. Like, I want to know what's happening to me. Like, they showed me a picture of my brain. Like, and I hate blood. Like, I'm very squeamish about that. But I wanted to see it. I was like, what's happening to me? Like, and I look back on videos and all that stuff now, and I'm grateful that I can see it and understand what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what I felt in that moment because can't remember what happened. So it is crazy to me to think that like probably like 12 days of my life I just don't remember. The only thing I remember is once I was diagnosed with cancer, that was the first day. I remember I woke up incredibly sick. I threw up on my neurosurgeon because I was so sick, and they took me into an emergency MRI. And then like 2 or 3 hours later, they told me I had cancer, and then the rest of the day I just cried.
The first thing that she did when they said she had cancer, you see her like she grabbed her phone and she like got the sisters like on the bed and everything. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm making an Instagram post.
Because
like what?
Because in society today, like everyone just wants to assume what's wrong with you. Like the second they're like, oh, you're in the hospital, they're like, you're dying. Like everyone wants to like make up their own story and like tell everyone else what happened. Like everyone wants to be the first person to know. And when I was diagnosed with a tumor, I guess, and I totally would do this, I don't remember, but I totally would be like, Mom, tell everyone I'm sick. Like, I don't want people to worry about me. Like, I want people to know what's wrong. And I remember when she made the post that was like, Molly has a tumor, she's getting surgery, like, we don't know if it's cancerous or not. People were like, texting me and be like, you're gonna beat cancer. And I was like, I don't know if I have cancer yet. Like, why are you telling me I'm gonna beat cancer? Like, what if it's not cancerous? So when it was cancerous, I took out my phone and I took a minute-long video. And I was crying in the video. I was very authentic in it. I took one take. I was like, I don't want to do this again. I was like, I have cancer. I'm fine. It's going to be 6 weeks of treatment. It ended up being 7. I was like, it's going to be fine. I love you. Like, I love the support. Thank you for the support. This is what's happening. Like, this is what's wrong with me. And that was it. And that's all that happened. I didn't need a whole, like, hour-long post being like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I want this to happen, and I'm worried about this. Like, no, I was like, this is a matter of fact. Thanks for your support. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna do the best I can. I don't know what's gonna happen yet. And that was it. Like,
I thought I could find a picture of her brain. I must have not marked it favorites. Like, I can't find it. The crazy thing was, is that if it wasn't for music, and it sounds so cliche, but if it wasn't for music, I don't think she would have been as prepared to beat cancer as she was. So coming out singing.
What were you singing?
I sang, well, the first song, so my younger sister, she's very, like, I wouldn't, like, she's definitely not emotionless. Like, she's very emotional, but she doesn't cry in front of me. She doesn't, like, show her emotions to me. Like, she's a strong, independent woman who, like, doesn't want the world to see she's sad, you know? And I'm just not like that. Like, if I'm sad, everyone knows I'm sad. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I remember she was like, or from the videos, she was like crying, and she's like sitting by my bedside, and she starts playing In Case You Don't Live Forever by Ben Platt, which is one of my favorite songs.
I don't even know the song, now I'll have to look it up.
It's one of my favorite songs, but it's literally like, in case you don't live forever, I'm going to tell you I love you. And
we were all like, no, not that song!
So I didn't sing that one. But
so she switched it to another Ben Platt really quick.
And Ben Platt's one of my favorite artists. And then she started playing Ease My Mind by Ben Platt. And there's videos, and I'm singing along horribly. Very off pitch. But what do you expect? Just came out of brain surgery. And so I sang that. And then
the doctors literally said, we know she can speak. Even though she can't make sentences right now of her singing,
she'll be able to.
She's going to be okay. And that's the second that we knew. And then they brought down, the next day, they brought down, the nurses actually ordered a volunteer harpist to come play right in front of her door. And she sang along to that, Beauty and the Beast. And
that just gave me chills.
It was crazy because she wasn't speaking.
I'm like laying in the bed and I'm
anything.
like, Beauty and the horribly. But I was singing, so everyone was just like.
Anytime there was music, she was able to be herself. Even when they did physical therapy,
They'd play music for me to walk to.
They put her in a harness, and they would have her repeat her show choir choreography. They would have the choreography for her to do it, and that's when she could dance.
That was like way later. Like that was because after, like once I had surgery, I did like physical therapy, which was like literally, can you lift up your leg? Can you like move your arm? Can you put your hands above your head? And then it transitioned into walking. So while I was in the hospital, I didn't do anything like that.
It was day like 4 or 5, and she asked the doctor, when can I dance again? And he said, when you walk, after you walk.
And I hadn't walked yet. So.
And that night, before physical therapy even came to visit her, she's like, I want to walk. I'm like, they're not ready. I remember it was a Sunday. Like, there's not anybody in staff for you to come. You're going to have to wait till tomorrow at least. And she got out of the bed. She's like moving. I'm like, okay, we got to at least let her do something. The nurse comes in with a wheelchair. So she pushed the wheelchair. She didn't walk on her own, but she was pushing the wheelchair, but actually walking, and we were all amazed. It was like, you should not be able to do this yet, but she wanted to dance.
And that was 4 days after?
4 or 5.
Wow.
Your surgery was Friday and it was a Sunday.
Oh, that's when.
Yeah.
I.
Stubborn.
I'm very stubborn.
Stubborn.
Determined, some people.
Yeah.
Would say, you know.
Yeah.
But, so then we knew that she probably wouldn't go to school, but we weren't sure because she was progressing so well. Like, well, maybe she would go to school. She'll just be a month late. But she had called, her program is musical theater, and you think, oh, you're going to school for singing and dancing, but it's super competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So every college has, that has a musical theater program, take anywhere between 6 to 20 kids. Normally.
Some take like upwards of like 25, 30, but not many.
So it's very, very competitive. About 3 to 5% of people who try to get into a program do. And she got into this brand new program in University of North Carolina, and it's super competitive. They took 6 kids.
Oh, wow.
And that night, you know someone's heart by the things that they do. And she's like, I need to call the director and tell him, give up my spot. I'm not going to be there. And I'm sitting there going, okay, wait a minute. Like, let's wait till after surgery to see how you do. Do you really want to give up the spot? And she's like, no, I need to call. There's a wait list. There's someone waiting for that spot.
Because I'm sure, like, as headstrong as I am, and, like, as much as I knew I'd probably be okay, I'm sure I thought, like, there was a part of me, like, I might die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even people who, like, go in for surgery for, like, their arm or, like, their leg, like, there's possibilities things could go wrong. And brain is, like, literally messing with your brain.
Right.
Like, there was possibilities things could go wrong. Like, I'm sure there was part of me that thought, I might not come out of this, or I might come out of this not being able to speak or not being able to talk. And, like, you obviously, not only can you not be a musical theater major, but you can't do a lot of things.
It was amazing what they said to you. So, do you remember what they said to you?
Absolutely.
They kept her spot for her. They took another person in case she wouldn't come back, but they also kept a spot for her. So not having to think about that, like she would have a spot once she came out of it,
Mm-hmm.
was huge in her recovery. Huge.
Well, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So 5 months to the day of the diagnosis, she was in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Really? So were you, okay, so you get told that you have a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
You go in and you have the tumor removed.
Mm-hmm.
How long after you got the tumor removed were you diagnosed with cancer?
So, I had surgery on August 9th, and it was a 6-hour surgery. It put 6 plates and 24 screws in my head. And then, normally it takes like 2 weeks, but I got really, really sick
Mm-hmm.
on Thursday, like, not holding a super well, like, I couldn't really hold a
They
conversation
rushed
again.
pathology for her.
Yeah, I
Okay.
couldn't really hold a conversation again. I was getting really sick. It was the first time I'd thrown up since surgery on a Thursday. And then on the 15th, that Thursday, they rushed pathology. And I think by like 2 o'clock that day, I threw up at like 8 in the morning and then had an MRI. And then by like 2 o'clock that day, they had told me that it was cancer.
And what kind of cancer was it?
So I had stage 3 anaplastic ependymoma. So that's a type of tumor. It's not always cancerous, but there's like different, like, not sections, there's like different kinds of ependymomas. And mine was anaplastic, so it was like really, really fast growing. And without treatment, even once you get the tumor removed, there's a 99% chance that it'll come back, and with treatment there's still a 30% chance that it'll come back. So I get tested every 3 months.
It's a high reoccurring, very rare cancer. About 300 people in the United States a year get it.
300?
I'm lucky. I'm a lucky one.
Right.
She's the lucky one.
Very unique.
So there's very, very few people that have it, but there's also very few people that know much about it.
Right.
And that's my problem too. Like, a couple, I don't even think it was days, probably weeks after surgery, I was like, okay, I know I have cancer. Obviously that sucks. But I was like, I don't even know. Like, what does that mean? Like, I hadn't started treatment yet. So I was like, what does that mean? And so I Googled. I Googled. And that was such a big mistake. I am very fortunate. Like, I never have had really bad anxiety. Like, I went through like a phase of depression in like 7th grade because of like personal issues with like family and stuff. But I never had bad anxiety. I just never did, and I was really fortunate. But once I looked up like percentages and like what happens to other people, like I read one statistic that was like 55% of people live 5 years after, or 45% of people live 5 years after diagnosis. And I like spiraled. I like had a couple, like probably like 3 or 4 days where I was like, didn't want to talk to anyone. I was like,
why did you Google? It's always Google.
I think I would do that too,
But
though.
those
then,
statistics
like,
aren't
worst
right.
case scenario, and
but those statistics aren't right,
Right.
because first of all,
It's so rare that
well,
those
first of all,
Right.
most of the people that are getting this type of tumor aren't my age. They didn't, like, they already had like pre-existing like health issues, and like there was nothing that was like even close to similar to what I was experiencing with the tumor. And like most of them like didn't have the tumor fully removed like I did. Some of them only had like a couple weeks of treatment. Like I had we did the full treatment. Like some people just didn't do that. So like the statistics are so scattered and wrong, and you just can't trust that. But my doctors also told me different things too. Like my oncologist told me different things, and my neurosurgeon, and like it's just so unknown because it's so rare.
right.
So-
And it's just like a new language to speak
Yeah.
too. Like just, I mean, what you just said of the, I can't even repeat it, of the name of it. It's like a name like,
No one knows what it is.
right, or like any type of cancer. There's so many different types of cancer too, and so
Yeah.
many. But like 45%, there's still 45% is a high number in some cancers too.
And that's the thing too, like, percentages are so weird. And like, I've said this for a lot, like, ever since I've been diagnosed. Like, if someone tells you you have a 50% chance of living, awesome, I have a 50% chance of living. I have a 50% chance of dying. But if you tell someone, oh, like let's use my numbers, like 30% chance of reoccurrence. Like, if someone tells you you have a 30% chance to live, like, is that high or is that low? Like, you don't know with medical terms.
When
like,
the doctor told her that there's a 30% chance of reoccurrence, she looked at him and said, next time you tell somebody these numbers, it would just be nicer to hear there's a 70% chance of it not coming back. It's like a whole state of mind, and I don't think the medical, they're very, very number oriented, where you have to be positive through this. So she has been very, very lucky that she's been a kind of a Pollyanna on, of course I'm going to make it. There's no question that I'm going to make it through, and I'm going to beat this. So that's been, as hard as it is to believe yourself as a parent, it's been really easy to follow her lead through it.
So then you went through 6 or 7 weeks.
it was
of
supposed to
chemo?
be...
Or not chemo. You didn't have chemo, right?
It was supposed to be 6 weeks. They said 6 weeks. But, it just ended up being...
Give or take, it's 33 times.
Yeah, 33 rounds. So it just ended up being 7 weeks, like, with the way the, like, timing and the days and the, like, everything worked out.
Now, is this something, were you in the hospital that whole time, or was it like home and in the hospital?
So we did surgery at Akron Children's.
Okay.
And that's where I went to the ER the first time. And then I had the I had the option.
You're so lucky.
I know. I'm so lucky to have treatment. No, I had the option of doing treatment at Akron Children's or University Hospital, And UH is an adult hospital. I mean, they have like the section that's rainbow babies, which is like kids and children. But I ended up wanting to do it at University Hospitals, which is probably like a 40-minute drive from home. So we would go to treatment. We'd stay for an hour and do treatment. Then we come home. So it was like a 2.5, 3 hour process every day, which is really not that bad. And
you did it every day?
Every day.
Every weekday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, every weekday. And we would like
it was a really, and this sounds terrible. When it first started, is it an inconvenience? Absolutely. It's an inconvenience. But it was a great bonding time for us because we would drive up, we would get food, most parents are sending their kids off to college and not seeing them. I literally got to spend this
every
time
day
just with her through the good and the bad. We got through it, and someone had told us, like, take a picture of her before treatment and after treatment every day. And then at the end of the 33 days, you'll realize what you've gone through. And we did that. And her mask was so tight on her face, like you would see.
I literally looked like Aquaman. You could see
Oh, yeah.
all
You
the
could see the
lines.
crevices on her face, so you would see that on the second picture every day.
And I'm just.
I'll show you the video, but
Yeah.
it's very empowering to see what she did in 33 days. Because some days you were smiling, some days she was exhausted, some days
And
she was pissed that her picture was taken.
Yeah, and treatment was. I'm gonna get emotional. Treatment was being diagnosed with cancer, hard, very hard, but you don't really know what to expect. Treatment was absolutely horrible. Like, it was horrible. Like, the first time I ever got my mask, they literally sit you down. They hold this up. They literally sit you down, or they lay you down, and they're like, all right, we're gonna make your mask. And obviously no one's ever done it before, and you could look it up, and I did look it up. I was like, what does a radiation mask look like? Like, what does that mean? And you just can't expect it. Like, you just don't know what to expect. They literally lay you down, and they're like, okay, we're gonna put this plastic over your face. And you're like, all right. And they put this long sheet, mine was green, they put this like long sheet of plastic with like holes in it, and they put it in this really hot water. And then you're laying down, and they literally, like, I probably had like 4 or 5 people, they all stretch the plastic from one side and they press it on your face. You're laying on a table.
It's
and
hot.
They just, yeah, it feels like wet, warm spaghetti.
Uh-huh.
And they press it on your face, and then immediately they start like molding it to your face. You can't, you can barely breathe. You can't move.
And your eyes have to be open when you do that? Or your eyes can be closed?
Your eyes
you just
can be
can't move
closed,
them?
but you can't move.
Okay.
And like, I use a lot of hand motions. I like to move. Like, I like to make facial expressions. Like, I could not stay still, but you had to. They'd literally be like pressing in your face, and the second you even like scrunch your nose, to be like, stay still, because they have to get it done. And then once it's like molded to your face, you literally just have to sit there. I had to sit there for probably like 20 minutes while it just hardens, and then they'll come in and they'll like see if it fit, and if it didn't fit, they'll have to remold it and do it again. And luckily, I only had to do it once, but they literally just mold it to your face.
Oh, that looks very different. So she's showing me the video that she was talking about earlier of the 33 days. Oh, you look at the stuff on your the
Yeah, I look like
Aquaman
Aquaman.
things, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, treatment,
It's very lonely, even with
even
us.
Yeah.
For her, it was very
Treatment-
lonely.
I would just like, you just like, like I said, like with the mask making, you just don't know what to expect. Like, you can have people tell you what they went through, but everyone's different. Every
Mhm.
treatment is different. Every experience is different. Nurses and doctors are different. Or diagnosis is different. No one ever in the history of ever goes through the same thing.
Right.
And I had friends who had gone through treatment, and I looked up like what were people's experiences with treatment, and you just can't expect anything. And I remember the first day of treatment, they lay you down on a table just like you make your mask, and you just lay there, you hold on to these bars, they give you the option, do you want a blanket? You can't have a pillow because you need to be laying flat. and they like, you're sitting in this like mold for the back of your head so you can fit into it, and they're like, okay, close your eyes, and they push the mask on your face and they clip it underneath the table. It is like, it's not on your face. It's pressed against your face and clipped to a table. And it's horrible. You can't move, and you can move your arms and you can move your feet, but you cannot move your head. Like, I remember one day I sneezed, and I literally, because I couldn't hold it in, like I had to sneeze. Because I was on the table for probably like 30 minutes a day, and I sneezed, and everything moved but my head. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. And I remember too, like one day, I think it was like my 3rd or 4th day of treatment, I was still like the whole process was uncomfortable, but the first couple of days was like extra uncomfortable because I was just like, this is so...
Well, it's new to you.
Yeah, I was like, this is so awful. I was like, oh, I hate it. And the 3rd or 4th day, I opened my eyes, and this mask is pressed against your face, like literally like plastic. Just
well, you can tell in those
pulled.
pictures, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like pulled on your face, and it messed with my neck and like all this stuff. But I opened my eyes, and I'm looking at like a machine. I mean, the machine shoots from the back of my head, but I'm like, part of the machine is in front of me, and I open my eyes, and it's still pressed against my face, and I start like freaking out. Because it was just so uncomfortable, and I was so like, and I had my first ever anxiety attack like during treatment, and someone had to come in and like hold my feet, and they're like, are you okay, are you okay, do you want to stop? And I was like, no, just keep going, because I was almost done. I was almost done, and I was like, just keep going. And I'm crying, like I'm sobbing, crying, getting treatment, and they start playing music, and like someone came in, and they're like, every 20 seconds they're like, are you okay, do you want us to stop? Because I was freaking out. And I ended up finishing, and I'm a very polite person. Like, even to my doctors and nurses, like, treatment was horrible, but every day I was still like, thank you, have a great day. And I remember that day I just walked right out. I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I need to go home. Because I'd never had a panic or an anxiety attack before. And it was the worst feeling in the world. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. Like, I literally couldn't even move.
And like, so with radiation, you can't be in there with her, right?
No.
Can you even see her or anything?
No.
So
And even when little kids go in, they have to go alone.
Yeah.
I remember too, like, one of my first times doing treatment, the person before me, we saw a lot of old people. Like, we saw a lot.
What are you considering old here?
No, like, we saw like 70s,
Okay.
80s, but like one of the days that I had treatment, like the first days, there was like an 8-year-old, I think, and he's crying, and he's like, you could tell he was inpatient, like he was on hospital bed, like crying. And I remember like hearing him cry right before I had treatment, hearing him cry, like going in, going out, and it was horrible. And it's like,
She came out of that though when she saw that kid. She literally looked at me. She's like, I'm glad this happened to me. I go, after seeing him, why? She goes, better than these little kids.
it's hard. Like,
As a teenager, as a 18-year-old, I can do this. Where, oh my gosh, these little kids have to do this too. Kind of, I think it dawned on her that it could be worse. It could be worse for other kids and us.
And I think about it a lot, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, but I get so...
You can cuss.
I get
It's fine.
so fucking pissed. I do. I'm like, why the fuck is this happening to me right now? I'm supposed to be going into college. I'm supposed to be making a whole brand new name for myself. Like, I'm going out of state. Nobody knows who I am. I get to reinvent myself. You get cancer. Like, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, right now. Of all the times in my life, right now. I was pissed. But then, like, I thought about it, and I still think about it, and I'm like, there are little kids who go through this. Like, worse than I did. Like, cancer sucks. I had it really hard. I
didn't have chemo.
I didn't have it nearly as hard as some of the other people I know, let alone the people I don't know. Like, I was dealt a shitty hand in this situation. But I'm fine. And, like, some people don't get to say that. And, like, I couldn't even imagine being 4 years old and going through this. I couldn't imagine being 10 years old. Like, I was 18. I could comprehend what was going on. I understood what was going on. I had all my friends. I had great support. Like when you're 10, sure you have friends, but you don't have friends who can like come over and like understand what's happening and talk you through it. And you don't have like the comprehension to be able to like talk to doctors or talk to a psychologist and like have them explain what's really happening to you. And I was 18 and I got that. I got to have that.
She was the queen of finding silver linings.
Yeah.
This whole time. Got closer with her sisters. You know who your friends are.
Mm-hmm.
You know who your friends aren't.
You know
Like
who
you
your
know,
friends aren't.
you know that's not even making sense. But you know who your real friends are, and you know who just is there because you're getting attention, or who doesn't show up at all. One of my best friends, like best friend since I was in like 6th grade, didn't even text me. Didn't even say anything to me. Didn't come to the hospital. Every single other person I knew, people I was barely even friends with in high school, came to the hospital.
But that's not fair because you have to understand how hard it was for them. They didn't want to see her.
Mm-hmm.
And
That sounds terrible.
It's just how they dealt with it,
Right.
or how they, yeah.
And we
Now,
still didn't
since-
talk anymore.
Not anymore.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
But I told her, we know it was. She didn't want to see you like that, and you have to
And
understand that.
And I understand that too, but to a point, it's like,
Still salty.
Right.
I'm so salty. It's like, that's the hardest thing I'll probably ever go through.
Mm-hmm.
And like, no, my mom, it was hard for my mom to see me like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for anyone. It was hard for me to do it. Like, and that's what I mean, like, with the age thing, like, being 10 years old, like, you just don't get that experience. Like, your friends can't come.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. I had one friend who was my friend Joe, my best friend Joe. Like, he's literally like my brother. Everyone always thinks we're dating, but we're just absolute homies. And he literally came to the hospital every single day. And the hospital was probably like 15, 20 minutes. Like, it wasn't like super far, but it wasn't like, it's a 5-minute drive. And he literally would come for like 5 minutes if he couldn't come for any longer than that. Just to like show up and like check on me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I couldn't imagine being 10 and not having my friends. Like, I keep saying that, but my friends and music and obviously my family were everything. All the support and everything that I needed to get through it.
Yeah.
So
you went through 33 days.
Mm-hmm.
What happened after 33 days then? Are you just like,
I did
you get to leave and they give you a high five and you're like, okay, cool, I'm done? Like, what
months of
happens?
rehab.
That's, I mean, treatment-wise, yeah, I still would have, I had weekly doctor's appointments every Monday, and then for a little bit it was Monday and Wednesday, because I had, my oncologist would be Monday, and my, the people who gave me treatment,
Mm-hmm.
I saw them Wednesday. So for a while it was 2 doctor's appointments every week, which is not that bad.
Yeah. Now,
It's
were
really
you
not.
working prior to this, or were you at
She
home?
worked through it too.
I was working. I
Okay.
was really lucky with the company that I work for.
Because I know that's
I got
a
my
huge
stuff
strain on parents
Huge
too.
strain.
Like, I do flashes of hope
Oh,
at
yeah, we
the
love that.
hospitals too. I love it.
Love that.
They have so many photographers now that I can only do it like once a year, but I love it.
Oh.
And every day you go in and it's, well, one, cancer is no prejudice.
Mhm.
Cancer's not racist. Cancer doesn't give a crap what your economic is,
Mhm.
status is. Like, it's everybody. But for parents, I'm like, how are, like, especially if kids are in hospital and they have to stay in hospital, I'm like, how do you do it? Like, you just,
And that's what
Give
I mean
up.
with age-wise. Like, I'm 18. I can
you
stay
could be
home
there
by
by
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
like,
she was never alone. We had her sister was great. Both of her sisters were fantastic.
we couldn't have done it without my
Jordan
sisters.
came home from college. Like it was both of their senior year. My oldest is a senior in college, and the youngest was a senior in high school when this happened. So they lost their whole
Going
first
into it.
semester because this was all our lives were.
Mhm.
And then of course the second semester was COVID where they lost everything. So both of them had each other to commiserate that they lost their senior year
Right.
Mhm.
for this.
And that's another thing. Like, there are so many like hardships that come with cancer. Treatment sucks, obviously. The energy loss sucks. Hair loss sucks. But there are so many things you don't realize. Like, you don't realize the strain that it has on parents. You don't realize the strain that it has on the siblings. Like, when you're younger and like through like interviews and stuff, you hear the parents' point of view a lot. You do. I mean, you obviously hear the patient's point of view more, but you never hear about siblings.
Mhm.
Ever. My sisters, and I'm stubborn, like, I don't want help, but my sisters, literally, my younger sister would refuse to let anyone else touch my wheelchair when I couldn't walk. She pushed me everywhere. She wouldn't even let my mom do it. My older sister...
That was her thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she could help control the situation. She was the wheelchair person.
And my older sister, like, she wanted to be FaceTimed into every single appointment, whether she could physically be there or not, because she's the person that would relay the information to me if I didn't understand it. She would be like, okay, this is what they said, but she'd say it in like, because doctors are very matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
My older sister would be like, here's what they mean, and like,
This is
here's
what
this,
matters.
and this, and this is what you need to focus on. And like, that was her way of dealing with it. And they were amazing in the hospital. My sisters are not very touchy people. They don't like to show a ton of affection, and I'm the complete opposite. Like, I want hugs, I want you to like rub my back, like I want to be like affectionate, and they're just not like that. And in the hospital, they would lay in the bed with me.
They would
they'd
braid
watch,
her hair. When
they'd
she
watch
had
TV
it.
with
They
me.
washed her hair, rubbed her feet.
Yeah. They were great. They'd literally like, I like to cuddle. Like when I wasn't feeling good, they'd just come and like lay with me and like let me hug them and like let me cry on them. But you don't see what the sisters or the brothers or
Mm-hmm.
like you just don't see what they go through and what they have to give up. They gave up so much, like because my mom and my dad's not in my life, so my mom had to be with me. My grandma couldn't always take care of me. Like my mom had to have a lot of her focus on me, and Jordan and Lily lost a lot of attention because I couldn't walk. I couldn't get myself to my doctor's appointments by myself. I couldn't make food for myself.
And just for like the youngest kid who's about to go to college, like she filled out all of her college applications on her own. She got accepted to college on her own. Where I was helping this one, you know, the year before, do everything with college visits. She applied to one school, got in, and that was it.
So all three of your girls ended up being stronger because of it.
And we
Obviously, you have really good parenting skills.
Yeah.
So, like even though you're like, ooh, mother of the year,
We just winged it.
but look
man.
at what you did with your kids. Like,
And we were all like, I mean, we were close because my parents got divorced and it was really messy. And so we got closer through that. Like, it was really messy. So we got closer through that. But my sisters are very similar. Like, they're 4 years apart, they're the same person. They look the
She was
same.
always the oddball out.
They look the same. They talk the same. They have the same likes and dislikes. Like, they're the same person. And I just not like that. Like, I like to have attention. Like, I like to be spontaneous, and I like to, like, just...
and you're sure you're a middle child?
Oh, yeah, for
I'm the,
sure.
I'm the youngest. I have two older sisters, and
Yeah.
I'm very much like you. I was a theater major when I first went to
Really?
college. I
Yeah.
loved all that stuff, but I'm like, man, you guys are very similar. I'm like, but I was the youngest one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, Jordan and Lily, Jordan's the oldest, Lily's the they're just, like, they literally look like they could be twins. And Lily's taller than both of us. She's the youngest, but she's taller than both of us. But I was just always different than them. Like, I talked more. I talked way more.
I remember her sitting, imagine that, her talking more. I just remember sitting at the hospital, because we did call her dad and to say that this is, you know, you need to be at the hospital, she's got a tumor and she's going to have surgery. And I just remember her, because we hadn't talked for years before that if anyone is going to bring everyone together, it's going to be this kid.
Mm-hmm.
This kid's going to be the one to do that. And you did for a short time. You did.
Yeah, I mean, like, not having my dad was, this is a hard topic to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely awful because, like, what kid doesn't want their dad? But, like, I was used to not having my dad around. And my sisters didn't talk to my dad anyway. But I remember my older sister who had literally, she was, like, uninvited to Thanksgiving from his side. Like, she was barely even invited to, like, my grandma's funeral. Like, it was just hard to have him around because we just didn't get along with him. I remember, well, I don't remember, I was told that my dad really wanted to stay, or maybe I asked him, I don't know what happened there, but I wouldn't let my dad stay with one of my sisters or my mom, and I knew my mom and dad couldn't be in the same room, and so my older sister stayed, like through the awkwardness, just so my dad could stay too. And like I woke up crying for my mom, and my sister was the one that helped me, and she helped me to the bathroom. And it's just like, I don't even know how to express how important and how like needed my sisters were during all this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish, I could literally talk about it for hours. I wish that siblings were more represented and more talked about because of all they do too. They're just in the background. Like, when you hear about a family going through cancer, you just think about the patient. You think about like, oh, that's gotta be horrible for the mom. Like, it's gotta be so difficult for the parents. Like, it's probably more difficult for them. They get forgotten about.
Right.
Well, the doctors take care of the patient.
Mm-hmm.
The friends take care of the parents. The parent is supposed to take care of the siblings, and it's just impossible. It really is impossible. And we were lucky enough to know an organization called Stewart's Caring Place, where we actually went. It's a resource in town which helps cancer families. And I remember them saying, "You need family therapy." I'm like, we don't need family therapy.
We're done with therapy.
We're done. And
There's a lot of trauma, PTSD, everything, yeah.
I remember our first appointment with the family therapist, who was awesome.
Yeah.
It was mostly about my youngest.
And I didn't know they felt that way.
The whole appointment was about her and how she had to deal with it. And it was eye-opening to be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like, I was so consumed in like, this sucks for me. Like, this is awful for me. I didn't realize how, and I knew it was hard for my mom, like, having to take off work and driving places. I didn't know that Lily and Jordan felt that way. I didn't even realize they were being forgotten about. Because I needed so much help that I was like, they have to do this for me, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I need the help. I need help up the stairs.
And I think it was hard for them too, because they would see how she was positive. Like, she was always positive through the whole thing, and they're like, bullshit.
But sisters are the great ones to like call you on it too.
They're like,
you cannot get away with anything with siblings, I swear.
And another thing is too, is like, I was super sensitive. Like, and I've always been sensitive, but once I got cancer, I was super sensitive. Once I lost my hair, I was super, super sensitive. And like, I would make jokes about losing my hair and like being bald, and then literally like an hour later they would make the same joke and I'd be pissed. I'd be like, you can't make that joke, you didn't lose your hair.
Like,
and I'm like,
you look like a boy, and she'd freak out.
Because I'd be like,
said it an hour
I'd
ago.
look in the mirror and I'd be like, dang it, I look like a man. I'd be like, I don't have hair, which is not true. Like, when you lose your hair, you don't look like a man. Like, you still have feminine features. But I looked in the mirror and I was like, I look like a frickin' boy. And then it'd be fine and everyone would laugh and we'd like make light of it. And then an hour later, especially my younger sister, she'd be like, you look like a boy when you wear that. And I'd be like, crying. And I'd be like, that's so mean. I don't look like
so
a boy.
dramatic, Molly.
Yeah.
Why are you being so dramatic? It was funny.
Yeah.
We went through a lot of crying, but we laughed. I think we laughed way more than we cried through this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's kind of the future? Just because I know you guys have to get on the road too, because you're going back to college, right?
Not yet. We're going to.
Oh, I thought you were leaving to go.
That's bad for college.
Okay.
Got a lot to do
Gotcha.
there. But
Girlfriend wants to start a foundation.
I do. I want to start a foundation because 18 through 24, even like 16 through 24, it's just a very underrepresented age group.
Mm-hmm.
Because 18's the deadline for Make-A-Wish. Like 18's the cutoff for Make-A-Wish. And like when you're 16, 24, 18 through 25, like that age group is just like, you're kind of a kid, you're kind of an adult, you're kind of independent, you're kind of not. Like, what are you doing?
Even
like,
the hospitals say that's a very underrepresented age group.
I think Britney Spears wrote a song about that. Not a girl, but not.
Yeah. Like that. Like, you're not.
Wow, we should contact her. Maybe
I know.
Maybe
Yeah.
she'll sponsor us. But no, it's any age is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I was a volunteer for Make-A-Wish for 22 years, and then Molly gets sick, and she
You don't know what
misses
to
it
do.
by 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
But we just got back from something called Nick's Wish, where they understand. He was 17, he got a wish, and he realized that he asked his parents, what happens when you're 18? they're like, well, Make-A-Wish doesn't give wishes. So his dying wish was to have a foundation that paid for and supported kids that were 18, I think 18 to 24, but young adults. And I think she was just really inspired by that whole thing. Like, I want to do that. I want to be able to help people in that age group as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of real resources are going to the younger kids.
Because isn't St. Jude tapped
It's-
out at 18 too?
I think it's 21.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I can look that up. But yeah, if you're 18 to 24, there's very little out there in terms of resources,
Yeah.
and the ones that are they're pretty much tapped out because they're supporting everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so much support and I have so much love, and we do know a lot of people.
So what do you want your foundation to do?
We've talked about it, we haven't really talked about it. It's kind of just been like a, let's do this kind of thing, but not really like talked about what actually needs to be done. But I would really love to in some way just get more information out there, because cancer and chronic illness is just uncomfortable for people to talk about. No matter how old you are, people don't want to talk about it because it makes them uncomfortable. People will donate money because obviously they want a cure, but they don't know what's going on. And no one,
Pediatric cancer gets 4% of national funding.
For
4%.
cancer.
That's 4 pennies
like
to the dollar.
all of the, like, it's not just like 4% of funding, it's like all of the funding that goes to cancer, 4% of that goes to pediatric. So that's a tiny number.
Right.
And any cancer is horrible. It's horrible. But pediatric cancer is brain cancer, it's leukemia, it's bone cancer. It's all of the cancers that happen in kids, 4% of that funding. And like,
It's awful.
breast cancer is like, gets more funding, and like, it's crazy for me to think about, because it's like,
It doesn't need to
People
take
are-
away from the other cancers.
No, but
there just needs to be more
Even
funding. Yeah.
but there's like 4-year-olds and children are getting the same doses of chemo that like a 25-year-old would be. Like, that's crazy. That's because there's no funding. They don't know what to do. Like, there's not. Like,
There
that's
hasn't been a
insane.
new drug for eons.
Yeah. So I want to bring, like, I don't want to say bring light to the situation because it's a crappy situation, but I want to bring, like, I want to educate people. And I want, we joked, we were like, oh, we should call our foundation like TMI, like too much information. Because people are uncomfortable, they don't want to hear about it, but you need to be uncomfortable. You need to understand what's happening. You don't need to, like, understand what's happening to the point of, like, everything we've been through, but you should be uncomfortable. Like, you should,
Get out of a comfort zone.
yeah, like, you should not want to know, like, you don't want to see anyone struggling, but there needs to be a place where people can be like, okay, like constipation. Like, I had so much constipation because of all the medication I took, and like, people don't think about that stuff, and people don't think
It's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it.
She had to go to the hospital for it.
Yeah.
It was awful.
I literally had to go to the hospital one night and stay there for like 4 hours, 5 hours, because I was in so much pain because I took so much medication, and all the medications I had mixed together,
And that's a common side effect.
oh
Mhm.
yeah.
But no one talks about it.
Yeah.
But like, there's just things that people don't know, like the siblings, people don't know about that, or like, people don't really know what I went through with radiation. They just knew it sucked.
Before Molly got sick, I think when I thought pediatric cancer, and this sounds crazy, but I thought of cute little bald kids with a bow on her hair. That's what you think of, and they make it almost pretty.
Right.
And it's not. It's, you don't see the throwing up. You don't see
You
the
don't see
constipation.
the ugly.
You don't see the daily, like, crying. Like, they don't broadcast that because no one wants to see it. It makes them uncomfortable.
Right.
But now with social media, I do believe that there are advocates out there that are parents that
Sharing
are
the
putting
reel.
their kid, they're sharing the reel of their kids, and here's the ugly picture. This is what my kid looks like on chemo, and that is helping, but it's far and few between. There's I can think of a handful of Instagram warriors or influencers that has recently happened to,
Mhm.
and they are going to make a huge difference. I think, that's from a parent's perspective of having a little kid that's sick, but I think that someone like Molly, who is 18 and willing to talk about it,
And she's experienced it.
and experienced
Like,
it.
it's not like you're talking from a third person thing.
Yeah.
It's like legit yeah. So what, outside of cancer, what else are you doing with your life right now?
So I am a huge performer. I love to perform. I like to make people feel things. Like, even before I was sick, like, I liked to sing because I liked knowing that it could brighten someone's day. And I've always loved to be in musicals and plays, and I've done it since I was 6. I just love to do it. I just love to be on stage. It's where I feel comfortable. It's crazy because I like singing in front of huge crowds. I like speaking in front of huge crowds. It's just something I enjoy. So I plan to do that with my life. I want to be performer, an actor, a singer, all the above. Anything I can do with performing, it is my thing. I really hope I get to do it with my life. It's a hard industry to get into, but I think it's worth it. We always joke about how I won't make much money, but I'll be happy. So.
This is very true, and as long as you know that.
Yeah.
I think
But-
the program she's going to is going to go get through COVID.
Mhm.
I think it's small enough that it's going to get creative and
Mhm.
figure out ways for them to perform and make an impact.
Mhm.
Yeah. But also know that the arts can make money too. There's a
They
great
can.
book
They
that's
can.
called, I'm gonna get it wrong. It's Jeff Goins, I do believe, and it's like The Starving Artist.
Mhm.
But it's good to read because I was a theater major, then I was I'm a photographer.
Mhm.
Like, I'm in the arts, but they're so necessary,
Yeah.
and like, we don't have to be starving artists. But if you know that, and there's some parts of it where it's like, what? I want to be in the trenches, and I
Yeah.
want to know what it's like to be poor, and then I want to get rich.
And that's the thing too, like I don't mind working. Like,
Mhm.
I actually look forward to being a waitress.
Yep, it's fun.
Yeah, like it doesn't like, some people are like, oh, I just need to be on stage. Like, no, I am willing to put in the work to get there. Like, I'll be a waitress. I'll live in a tiny little apartment. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like,
It's all experience.
Yeah.
And it helps you draw from that when you play a different
Mhm.
role. Half the people, I was a server until I was like 40. 39 technically.
and that doesn't
I mean,
bother
on
me.
and off.
29.
Yeah, on and off, and I worked retail. But all those people are now hiring me to like photograph them, or now, I mean, it's all relationship.
I think that's the most important thing. That the reason why she picked the program she picked
Before I was sick.
before he was sick was he was looking for people that other people want to work for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was huge. It wasn't like, the big name school, big name program. It was, hey, come and make this program big with me. I want our program to be known for that.
And I was very lucky with my audition process. I got into a lot of great schools, and I got into a lot of big name schools and like very established schools, and that's great, and that was wonderful. But the way I felt at UNCG, my program, was unlike any other, because I didn't feel like I was going to be stabbed in the back. And everyone feels differently. Like, some people, those conservatory style schools, it's meant for them. I liked the environment of like, we're all really good friends, we're all working for the same goal, no one's going to step on you to get ahead of you. It's just, we're a family, we
We're not
support each other.
competition, we're like going to be coworkers.
We all want to
Yeah.
do the same thing. And I liked that, and
Yeah.
I like that with friends, not even just school, but like with friends, with life experiences. Like, I just think it's important. A healthy competition is,
Right.
there's a difference between, I'm gonna step on you and do anything I can to be better than you, versus we're gonna help each other. We're gonna help make each other better. And when you get a role, I'm gonna be happy for you. I'm not gonna be pissed and throw a fit.
Mhm.
And there's a difference.
She
Yeah.
found the perfect place.
So, any last thoughts that you guys want to talk about before we wrap up? We're at about an hour, and
Oh,
I know you
jeez.
guys need to get on the road, and it's 10:21. You can't see the time from here, but I can. But I was like, I'm just gonna let them keep talking.
I think probably like it's so weird to talk about, because every time I say anything, I'm like, the hardest part was this, the hardest part was that. Everything was hard. But in all honesty, I think the most difficult part was losing my hair. And I was vain about my hair. I didn't realize how vain I was until I lost it. Like,
You had really long brown hair, right?
Super long. Ooh, super long. It was down like to my tailbone. I love to curl it. I love to straighten it. I love to style it. I dyed it. Like anything. Like the thing that I thought was like the greatest, or like the thing that everyone noticed about me, was my hair. And I'm still emotional about it because I miss my hair. Like, I think anyone would miss their hair.
Mm-hmm.
But I cut probably like 8 inches off, and it was still like right here. Like 8 inches off on my 18th birthday. And then they shaved the whole section for when I needed surgery. And then they told me I had cancer, and I was like, alright, this is going to be really hard. I have a huge chunk of my hair missing. Like a huge chunk, because I had to do surgery. I was like, I'm going to lose my hair anyway. I should just cut it off. I think that's going to help me embrace the sickness. I think it's going to help me, like, I don't want to watch it fall out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to watch my hair.
You want to be in control of it.
Yeah. And so I remember, like, the day after I got home from the hospital, I texted all my friends, and I was like, alright, we're going to this place, and everyone's going to come cut my hair. And all my friends were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I'm going to lose my hair, so I'm just going to shave it. And everyone can come cut my hair. And I think like 50 to like 75 people like showed up. And they all, like, they just got, and like, I was in the middle of the circle, and everyone was sitting around me, and I was like, alright, you! And like, there's like community scissors, and someone would come up and just be like, chop! And then be like, next! And so everyone cut my hair, and it was funny because people give me bangs, and then I had like a pixie cut, and then someone did the like slit in my hair, and it was just, and
it was the first time everyone got to see her out of the hospital.
And my DNA was
really cool.
everywhere. Like, my hair was everywhere, and I had friends from like choir and high school, and people that were just family friends, like everyone, like all these people just got together.
You realized you can't do it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a huge symbolic thing for her.
Yeah. And it was, and I sat there in their videos, and I'm smiling and I'm laughing. I'm like, my hair is so funny right now. But it was hard.
Yeah.
I smiled through it.
It was a big F you to cancer. It was a big.
It was like, I'm not gonna let you take my hair. Like, I'm gonna do this my way. Like, if I'm gonna lose my hair, I'm gonna lose my hair in like a fun, like exciting, like Molly way. And so literally, like, my prom date came and cut my hair. He was like the second person. Like, this little girl that I used to be like a kind of mentor and dance captain for, she cut a section of my hair. My sisters cut my hair. And then at the end, like, when I had, like, there's gotta be pictures somewhere, but I had like, it was like cut, but it was like funny and like super uneven and like funny, and then we just shaved it. Yeah. And then at the end, I took pictures with everyone, and I got home, and then I cried, and I got home, because I was like, oh, I'm bald now. But it was really good for me.
That was empowering.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do that. Like, I've seen some people where they'll shave their head, and then like their husband or somebody shaves their head too and stuff, but oh wow, that just gave me chills again.
So good. It was cool.
Okay.
I will tell you, I want to thank you, because the whole empowerment thing is super important, and I think what you're doing for women across anybody you meet, I think a photo says a million words, but the way you're doing it and letting people actually put the words to a photo would help so many cancer patients, because you get to actually say it and see it.
Right.
Rather than just feel it. I think it's super important what you're doing.
And like, I kept all of my bracelets from the hospital, and I kept my mask. I don't know why, but I was like, I don't need to throw this away. Like, this was a part of my life, and it was a really big part of my life. I don't need to forget about it. Like, I fought really hard to be who I am before and after cancer. Like, I'm proud of myself for what I've been through, and while it sucks, it was so important to my life. Like, I kept those things, and to finally be able to like, do something with it, and like have it be more than just a little thing on my desk was important. And I look at those pictures and like I did that. Like, you know what I did that. I went through treatment. I went to the hospital every day for like 2.5 months. I did that.
And your photos are gonna show. You're telling so many stories in one photo.
Mm-hmm. I
It's
love
just
those
a catalyst
pictures.
of being able. The coolest thing I think about this project is it did start with a photo of myself. Like it was a total self-serving. I wanted to do this photo that was like just me and it was raw. And then the second I opened it up, and nobody would be following it if it's just a picture of me. Like that would be cool. It's a cool picture. I like it, but it doesn't do anything. And like the whole reason this project is getting momentum and going is because of people like you guys, like continuing it and connecting it. And the world is all super connected. Like I mean, I met Kim at a wedding of a roommate who went to high school with a girl in West Virginia. We went to Mexico, and like, how the hell would I have ever met you guys? Out of 2 years ago, I met her in a wedding in Mexico, you know. And so
This is the kind of stuff that the world needs right now. Though.
yes, and it's all different types. Like I've never personally had cancer, but cancer has affected me. My grandma died of cancer. One of my best friends died of cancer. Like, and I mean, I'm not in an interracial marriage, but I know people who are. I know, you know, I'm not Asian. I'm not 10 feet tall. I'm not 2 feet tall. Like, there's all these different things, but like, when it comes to pain, suffering, joy, like determination, like all those things, like I think people are a lot more alike than what they think, and they just are like, well, you know, it's black and white. Like I'm either this or that, and I don't like people who are this way. And I'm like, well, maybe you don't know somebody, or maybe you do.
This is humans of
but
New
you don't
York,
know.
kind of.
It is like I know people say that, and I'm like, it is, but it's like humans of New York.
Better.
And then
You know, that's just
So-
New York, and certain people are. This is so. You are going.
and it's all inclusive, which is
Right.
like I know some people are like, well, you have to have a niche, and I'm like, well,
This is your niche.
I
Being
don't-
inclusive is your niche.
yeah.
Well,
And
and like I said, like with like my cancer and like my experiences, like cancer, like every single person, like no matter what, even if you have the same tumor, even if you have the same, like even if you're the same age, every single thing is so different. Like no matter what, and that's with people too. Like every person has their own story. No one has the exact same story, no matter what. Even if you think it's super similar, it's never gonna
I'm
be the
buying your
exact
coffee
same.
table book.
It's never gonna be the exact
I'm
same.
working on it.
So like that's how people's story are like away from cancer. Like every single person has a story and every single person can relate to someone, but it's always gonna be different.
And everyone deserves it to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like who cares? Not who cares. But like you don't need cancer to make a difference. You don't need cancer to raise money for cancer, or you don't need to be chronically ill to like make a difference. Like anyone can make a difference. Anyone can inspire someone else. Like
That's true. I think we need to stop on that because this is the best conversation that just keep coming on and on and on. But I want to stop on your words, and I think that was a great way to end this. So, thank you guys so much.